Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a course overview for our course electronic business أو الإدارة الإلكترونية للأعمال. The course is introduced for the third level of Faculty of Commerce, Ch00 University, English section. A course overview usually introduce the main chapters we will study inshallah, but before that I introduce general guidelines for the course. My name is Ahmed Amhawi, and I have the honor to introduce the course for you inshallah in this semester. This is our e-learning website, and the textbook is called Electronic Commerce. We will have inshallah the 12th edition 2018 as far as I remember, and the author is Gary Schneider. We will study 6 chapters inshallah in our course. These are the chapters we have. Introduction to Electronic Commerce. This is the chapter 1. The second chapter is chapter 3. Chapter 2 in the text is omitted, and it's about the revenue models. It's how do we sell on the web, or have a commercial or an internet web page that we get money out of it. So what do we sell and what model are we using, business model. Number 4, we will give marketing again. We know that you studied marketing in the previous year, but we give marketing again here, but with the flavor of the e-business and e-commerce. Number 5 is the other side of the moon, not marketing, purchasing then. So if marketing is the front end, then purchasing is the back end. So chapter 5 is about the back end. It's a business to business activity, and in which we deal with logistics, supply, purchasing, warehousing, and so on in business to business relationships, or they call it B2B. Chapter 6, we will talk about Facebook, Twitter, and social networking in general, mobile commerce, and online auctions. The last chapter we have in our course is about payment systems and how do we pay for transactions on the internet or in e-business or e-commerce systems. Let's have details for each chapters. Brief, not details actually. Chapter 1, we will give in the beginning definition of what e-business is and what e-commerce, electronic commerce is, the differences between them, examples, and so on. And then we will give some history about electronic commerce, the first wave and the second wave. Then we introduce types of e-commerce, the different terminologies we need to study, discuss before we have this course. Terminologies such as business model. What do we mean by a business model? Revenue model. It's a type. It's a smaller part of a business model. It's called revenue model. What is a business process? What is a transaction? Tasks, activities, all these are terminologies we need to review before we go deep into the course. Part of understanding e-commerce is to study advantages and disadvantages of e-commerce. And from economical perspective, what are the economic forces for electronic commerce? It means from economic point of view, what brings the advantage or make the leverage of e-commerce اللي بيخليها مفيدة يعني in an economic sense. Identifying e-commerce opportunities, types of businesses that good in e-commerce, type of business may not suitable for e-commerce. And the last point we have in this chapter is about international issues for e-commerce. Language, the culture, the legal part that make problems or differences between one country and another. This is the international nature of electronic commerce. That was chapter 1 in brief. Chapter 3, the second chapter in our course, we will introduce 5 different revenue models. The model here is how do we get money, how do we sell, do we have our revenues out of selling some products, or we rely on advertisements, or we have some service we are introducing, do we have commissions. So different ideas, collection of ideas for getting revenues is called revenue model. Then we talk about strategy issues for company facing selling on the web, how such models use something called disintermediation as a strategy for revenues. And there is a second half of this chapter that talks about how do we design our web page in a way that make its presence attractive. How do we enhance usability? Usability, yani make it attractive for people, make people use it and adapt and visit our website. The last section in that chapter will talk about communication. How do we use our website for communication? Dealing with a different type of communication, the broadcasting communication, the one-to-one, and the networking communication one. This is the last part in chapter 3. Chapter 4 is about marketing on the web. And there are many topics we had in the marketing course in the previous year that we will have again here, but with the flavor or with the perspective of e-commerce. In the beginning, for example, after some introduction about marketing again, marketing strategy, the 4 P's and so on and so forth, we will talk about segmentation. Segmentation is a topic we had in the previous year, but in this chapter we will have segmentation, other models, 4, as far as I remember, models for segmenting your market from an e-commerce point of view. Viewing your customers not as only buyers of your products, but as well visitors for your websites. How can we classify, segment our customers as visitors? Then there will be a big part in our chapter about the types of advertisements on the web. Email marketing is another part, important one we have here. And then a very important topic in this chapter is about customer relationship management, or they call it CRM, the acronym CRM. It's an important topic, and you cannot comprehend, you cannot think about CRM without e-commerce actually, or technology in general. Branding is another topic we will have briefly and quickly in this chapter. How do we use the internet e-commerce systems for branding? And then some technical part at the end of the chapter about search engines, about URLs, how do we use domain names and so on, how do we use Google and search engines and so on marketing. I know that this topic is famous nowadays. They call it digital marketing nowadays, using Facebook and using these social networking ideas, but we will have it in a separate chapter later on, inshallah. Chapter 5 in our course is about B2B. B2B means business to business activities, and the chapter concentrate on supply, logistics, and purchasing activities, and how do we use e-commerce system for connecting business to another business. Some history about such systems starts with the evolution of EDI systems. The EDI stands for Electronic Data Interchange. How it works and the different milestones in its history. How business move from their EDI operations to the internet. Well, EDI كانت proprietary systems, يعني special or private systems. It doesn't use the internet actually. It used not to use the internet. It used to be on the private telephone lines. Nowadays they use the internet and became what is called open EDI. So we will see the differences between them, and we will talk about supply chain management about using such B2B systems. And the last section in this chapter will talk about the different types of electronic marketplaces, different big portals in which buyers and sellers meet on the net to do transactions, big ones. So this is chapter 5 in our course. Chapter 6 is about social networking, mobile commerce and online auctions. And this is important topic nowadays. It talks about communities, virtual ones, and how do we use them in business. Characteristics of the 7 major auction types. So chapter talk about the auctions الحقيقة اللي هي المزادات يعني والعطاءات وكده والمناقصات والمزايدات big portals that use the auctions and how buyers and sellers meet and practice and pricing, dynamic pricing in such portals, strategies for web auction sites and auction related business. These are the main points in this chapter. The last chapter we have, it's a classical one. It's about the payment systems. How do we pay money on the internet? طبعا هيبقى فيه جزء كبير عن الكاردز, الكريدت كاردز والديبت كاردز والتشارج كارد والسمارت كاردز, all those types of cards we will have them. And also electronic cash, we will talk briefly about them. We know the Bitcoin nowadays, but we will talk about the earlier versions of e-cash. We will introduce wallets, electronic wallets, PayPal also, we will talk about it. Here is another type of card. And the last section in our chapter الحقيقة هيتكلم عن crimes, money problems and crimes and theft and social aspects, negative social aspects actually on the internet. As long as we are talking about money فلازم نتكلم عن الجرائم يعني. This will be the last part in chapter 11. ده الحقيقة our course 6 chapters we have here as we introduce them. Introduction, business models, marketing, purchasing, and then social networking, and the last one is payment. I hope you enjoy the course inshallah. Thank you.